Today's topic, everybody, is a doozy for me personally. I have a lot of opinions on this subject, and you're about to hear them, so brace yourself. Dance Moms, Abby Lee Miller. I'm sure you're familiar with it. If you're not, it was a show that aired, I don't know the exact years, but when I was younger, we'll say that. To give you some perspective here, I am maybe a few years older than the majority of the girls on the show. I think I was around the same age as Brooke. Maybe like a year or so younger than her. I'm not sure. Somewhere between the rest of the girls on the show and Brooke's age is where I fell when I was watching the show. As a young black girl watching the show, it should come as no surprise that I naturally gravitated towards Nia, who was the only black girl on the show for quite some time. Recently, Nia released a memoir about her times on Dance Moms. She does bring up racial comments that Abby Lee Miller made towards her, which should come as no surprise to you because some of those comments did air on the show. For example, the time Abby told Nia to fix her hair because it looked awful. That was a racialized comment. That was a comment that was directed at Nia's hair, at the texture of her hair, at the fact that she has black hair, and how that is different from her white friends.
Melissa told me that you said it was rigged.
I'm entitled to my opinion because I'm 42 years old and I'm a free American citizen. So I get to say whatever I want and believe whatever I want. I stand on my credentials and my knowledge.
That's fine.
Something you can never take away.
Then fix this hair, because it's horrible.
And why don't you fix your hair and fix your face and your body and everything else?
That's fine. When I join your dance company, I'll do
Let's
it.
start critiquing people. Let's start with you. Look in the mirror. And you know what? I got approval for those braids and I got them put in.
Not in from my dance company, didn't it?
Yes,
It says
I
right
did.
in it.
Yes,
Do
I
not
did.
change your hair.
And you know what? I did get approval for it, and this is part of her ethnicity.
Well, it's weighing her down. It's
Ethnic
weighing her
dancer.
down.
There are four other people
When you
here
made
that
the bun
are
the last 3 weeks, Holly, it's like a log coming out of the side of her
That's
head. And on all this, Nia,
Enough is enough. If you want to fix someone up, and if you're such like a Miss Fix-It, fix yourself. Look in the mirror. Start with the woman in the mirror and leave my kid alone.
There was that incident, and then she talks about another incident where Abby made a comment to her, and she says that it went like this. Miller allegedly asked her, "Don't you just wish you had white girl hair?" Nia says, "I was taken aback by her question, but I responded no." "Oh, really?" she said. "Like you don't think it would be much easier?" Again, I told her no. It didn't matter what she said, I knew I didn't want to be white. Unlike the other exchange, this one never aired. She also made comments about her body, which is not necessarily unique to Nia, of course, but it does take on another connotation when you consider the historical aspects around black bodies and the exploitation of black bodies, especially sexually. I can just imagine it would be very uncomfortable to have Abby Lee Miller, of all people, commenting on your body. And this goes for all the girls, not just Nia. Nia also mentions this other interaction she had with Abby, which honestly highlights the contradictory nature of racism, where you have someone who is considered less than, but is also then held to a higher standard than their white counterparts. Quote, she would say, "Well, you know your people have flat feet. This struck me as ignorant. I know plenty of black dancers with perfectly arched feet." But despite the fact that she actually believed this ridiculous generalization was true, she threatened punishment for my perceived shortcoming. "If you don't point that foot," she'd warn, "I'm gonna come out there and break it." End quote. You have Abby, who thinks that Nia is less than, she is less capable, because of physical differences between her and her white peers. Differences that aren't true, mind you. Abby believes this about Nia, about black dancers in general, and it doesn't stop her from turning around and holding Nia to high standards, knowing that in her mind, Nia will never meet those standards. Think about that. She is putting Nia in a position that, as far as she is concerned, Nia will never rise to the occasion. While I don't agree with her, while I don't think that's true, while I think Nia is perfectly capable of rising to the occasion, Abby, operating from that point of view, is going to influence the interactions she has with Nia, but it also just shows how heartless she is, because why would you do that to a child? The fact that she was attempting to put her in that position over and over and over again is incredibly cruel. And truly, the goddamn audacity of Abby Lee Miller to suggest that black people couldn't dance because they had bad feet. I don't know how she got to the 21st century operating under the assumption that black people were bad dancers, but that's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, honestly, it's giving a little bit jealous. Abby, are you jealous? Are you jealous, Abby? Yikes. Abby obviously had her preferred styles, that being more lyrical and classical kinds of things. And I do think it does have to do with her more conservative views, that she didn't necessarily branch out as much. She did occasionally, like I said, she would give Nia jazz-inspired roles every now and again, that kind of thing. But as Nia points out, a lot of the dances she got had racial undertones to them. I don't know why this one is really coming to my head, but there was the one time that she had a dance that I believe was more inspired by drag a little bit, to the point where Abby had a drag queen come in and teach Nia how to do I believe it's called a dead drop. I may not know the exact name for it, but I have been to enough drag shows to see it in action.
I really wanted Holly and Nia to see Shangela perform because I want that kid to embrace her ethnicity. She can get cast in things that the other kids can't. I wouldn't even send them in for those roles. But Nia is a black diva, and I wanted her to see Shangela, who is the black diva.
And while it is a fun time to watch, I don't know, I just think that of course she gave this to Nia, you know? And on the other hand, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if Nia was also getting those classical, lyrical, contemporary roles, which she really wasn't. And I wanted to discuss this because you have a lot of interesting things that happened on this show, I suppose. I can think of many moments involving the other moms and the other girls, of course, but Nia and her mother, Holly, are very interesting to me. Because, again, they were the only black family on the show for quite some time. I don't remember how many seasons it took before they got another one, but it was a while. And I always felt like Holly and Nia got a specific amount of flack because they didn't push back against Abby as much as some of the other moms did or some of the other girls may have. And the reason for that was, of course, because they couldn't. They didn't have that same wiggle room, right? They didn't have that same privilege that someone like Kelly has, who can go toe-to-toe with Abby up until the point where she gets physical with her and Abby draws the line, calls it there. Holly always tried to stay on Abby's good side, at least for the first few seasons. She always tried to keep the peace, she always tried to mediate, and I believe the reasons she did that was because she knew that her behavior would reflect on Nia, which is the same for all the other girls. I do want to make it clear that Abby held the girls accountable for their mother's behavior all the time. It wasn't just Nia. But Holly, being a black woman, I think that she just recognized that if she said some shit to Abby that was sideways, Abby wasn't going to forgive and forget as quickly as she might have with the other girls. It genuinely breaks my heart because Nia obviously was passionate about dancing. She obviously loved dancing. I think an episode that stands out for a lot of people if you watched the show and you paid attention to Nia would of course be the Rosa Parks dance. The episode where Abby entertained the idea of possibly giving the role of Rosa Parks to Kendall, a white girl. She basically makes it clear that she doesn't want to just hand the role to Nia, and that's fair in normal circumstances, but we were in a circumstance where Nia was the only person who should be playing that role, because they had no other black girls, they had no one else to play Rosa Parks. And Nia gave a stunning performance during this dance. And all the mothers seemed to realize this, except for one mother, which was Kendall's mom, who does somehow manage to outdo Abby when it comes to ridiculousness this episode. Whether she genuinely believes this, or she just really wanted her daughter to have a lead role, I'm not sure. But she really tried to get Kendall the role of Rosa Parks. And it took basically all of the other mothers bullying her into withdrawing Kendall from the role for her to finally concede on that topic. But even after, she seemed to think that Kendall still should have been in the running for the role. And I'm gonna let you watch this scene play out because it is really funny to watch this grown woman try and defend her decision to push her daughter for a role that she absolutely should not be playing.
This one over here was over there trying to pitch her daughter to Abby as being Rosa Parks.
When Holly told me that Jill invited herself to go shopping with Holly and Abby, it didn't surprise me at all. I knew that this was Jill's way of being sneaky and her way of talking to Abby, trying to get Kendall the lead.
You actually asked her for that part.
No, what? No, I said it would be a good part for Kendall because she needs to work on her acting and her face.
I really think you're like delusional
No,
now,
I didn't
Jill,
say
that you think
give it
that
to
that's
Kendall.
a good part for her.
I don't understand why these moms are so upset over this. Their kids get lead roles all the time. Kendall does not. Kendall always gets overlooked. Here's an opportunity for my child to have a lead role, and it's driving them crazy. I'm the only one who gets in trouble for wanting something.
You asked Abby if Kendall could be Rosa Parks. That's a
No,
little crazy.
I didn't. You weren't there. Kendall never had a special part, people. I think every one of your kids has.
Jill will do anything for a special part, even if it means that Kendall is Rosa Parks. Really?
If anybody's Rosa Parks but Nia, I'm not watching the dance.
And I don't think that anyone should be Rosa Parks but Nia.
Why these moms are coming down on me so hard, I can't stand it.
We think you should go down and say, you know what? I think I was mistaken. I don't think that this would be a good part for Kendall. I think Nia fits this role. Just act stupid and be like, I thought Rosa Parks was somebody different. I thought she was
an
a
immigrant.
thin white girl with brown hair and brown eyes.
Abby, do you have a minute? I just need to let you know that Christy and Kelly are going berserk, that they think Kendall is playing Rosa Parks.
Oh, wait, let me just say for the record, she just threw all of us under the bus. The mom said Kendall can't be Rosa Parks. What do you think?
Nia needs to think she has competition. I can't just hand it to her on a platter. Healthy competition is good for every dancer. Leave it to the moms to get involved and mess it all up. But why is that bimbo running this studio?
It would make perfect sense for Nia to play Rosa Parks. They badgered me and
And you
until I
came
came.
down.
I did because I had
So
to.
you just took your kid and put her on the back burner for somebody else.
Kendall's never had special parts. So this might be the last one the poor kid ever gets. And here I am letting these moms badger me into taking it away from her. I can't win, really.
Kendall, your mother just took you out of the running for Rosa Parks. Nia, you will be playing the part of Rosa Parks. This is a huge lead role, so you better make me proud.
I'm not sure what caused Abby not to give Nia the part of Rosa Parks from day one, but I'm glad Nia has it now.
As far as I remember, Abby doesn't really praise her as much as she praises the other girls, of course. It's just very clear that Abby doesn't like Nia as much as she does the other girls. Abby always had her favorites, Maddie being the main one, of course, but despite what people may say, I do think Chloe was one of Abby's favorites, even though she didn't treat her particularly well. I think that, again, that came back to her mother. I think Abby hated Christy, and could not get past that hate to see Chloe as just Chloe anymore. And I think that if you look at the amount of grace that Christy and Chloe get, and this is coming from someone who has been riding for Chloe since day one, okay? I have been a Chloe truther since the beginning. I do think that they got quite a bit of grace when it came to Christy's interactions with Abby. And then when you compare that to Holly being afraid to even broach certain topics with Abby because she was afraid of how it would reflect back on Nia, that just shows you how different the worlds they are living in is. Despite the fact that they are in the same environment, they are in the exact same scenario, the only difference, of course, being one of them is white, one of them is black. Nia also talks about how Abby tried to create an environment where Nia appeared to be lazy or not as strong of a dancer. And obviously that's really shitty to do to a child who is coming to you to learn to dance. Because that's what Abby's purpose is, right? It's to teach them to dance. She is their teacher. She is supposed to educate them. And instead of doing that, she degrades them, she puts them down, she shits all over them, and she uplifts her favorites, and even, shits on them from time to time. But Nia also talks about how some of her teammates and the audience obviously ate into this narrative. And we're talking about people who knew her. So some of her teammates even bought into the narrative that she was not as good of a dancer. I just need people to understand that this is not a coincidence. This is not just because she didn't like Nia. It's because she's racist. It could have been any black girl in Nia's spot, and I believe they would have gotten the same treatment because they are black. Obviously, Holly did confront Abby about some routines, and if you look at some of the routines Nia got, very racial undertones. And it's like when you compare it to the routines the other girls are doing. And that was the other thing. Obviously, the girls have different dance styles. And I believe Nia's was more jazz inspired from what I recall. But she still could do classical, lyrical kind of stuff. And a lot of this, you have to remember, Nia is so young. I mean, she's like, 8 maybe? 9 at the time? She's not recognizing these racial patterns. She's just a child who's being made to feel bad. Like, over time, she'll start to recognize these things, right, as she encounters them more and more. But at this time, this is a child who's likely never really encountered this kind of racism in her life. This kind of subtle racism that isn't necessarily outwardly recognized. You have a lot of people probably in her ear trying to tell her that it's not racist, that it's not because of her race. And I'm glad that Nia has been able to unpack this. I believe some of this has to do with her mother, because just from what I saw on the show, her mother was or is a principal. I think that she just had a lot of experience with children, and I think that definitely helped her in raising her own daughter. And being sure to make sure that her daughter did not grow up feeling insecure, did not grow up feeling undesired or unwanted because of her skin color. Nia's memoir is called Bottom of the Pyramid, a memoir of persevering, dancing for myself, and starring in my own life. I have not given it a read, but if you're into Dance Moms, I do think you should probably read it, because I imagine it will probably be a good read for a lot of people who don't understand this sort of racial aspect that Nia was dealing with, and I think it's probably better to hear it from her mouth than from somebody else. I don't have any reason to believe that Nia is lying or exaggerating about this, just from what I saw personally play out on the show. All of this very much lines up with what happened, and it very much makes sense in the context of how we know Nia and Holly. Once again, I cannot give enough props to Holly, who was a working mother at the time, who would get shit from Abby for not being at rehearsals because she was at work. Mind you, no other mother in this group had to deal with that. That's another thing. Nia's mother had to work. She would go to work. She could not be there all the time. When she was not there, Abby would throw a fucking fit. Nia's mother worked to be there as often as she could, but she had a job. Abby was never understanding of this. And some of this does come back to Abby being not just racist, but misogynistic, homophobic, basically a conservative person. Abby very much thinks that a woman's place is in the home, despite the fact that she's a working woman herself, or was a working woman herself. She thinks that a woman's place is in the home, taking care of their kids, not going out to work. But that is all I have to say for this video. I am going to wrap this up here. Give the video a like for me if you enjoyed it, and let me know down below, did you watch Dance Moms? Did you watch Nia experience all of this like I did and have a similar reaction? Or were you someone who maybe didn't notice this kind of stuff happening? That's fine. Again, most of us were children when we were watching this. Obviously, adults were watching this as well, but I was a child when I was watching this show, and there were obviously things at the time that stuck out to me as not even necessarily racist, but just wrong. And of course, as I've gotten older, I can recognize that, oh, they were wrong because they were racist. But at the time, they were things that just felt wrong. Like commenting on Nia's hair felt wrong to me. But as I've gotten older, I recognize that they're also racist. So let me know if you did watch Dance Moms, because I am curious to hear what you think. It's definitely a product of its time. I don't think we will have another Dance Moms, truly. And that's for the best, mind you. That's for the best. But other than that, hit that subscribe button for me. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers right now, and I would love your support. That's pretty much all I have for you, so thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Take care of yourself. Free Palestine, free Sudan, and goodbye.